And we are back. We have one of the most important guests right now. So, Sara Ashton-Cirillo.
Hello, everyone. So, for those of you tuning in live, I'm back in Kharkiv Media Hub, a place where I spent many hours over the spring, summer, and into the fall before I was enlisted and mobilized in the armed forces of Ukraine. And I'm here with the captain, and I'm here with many of my friends and people whom I would consider family. I was able to get paroled out of the hospital. I am having surgery coming up in a couple of days. As some of you have been following the situation, there's risk of infection setting in, and ultimately what we're attempting to do is prepare the hand for the necessary surgery. And with so many people asking questions, the captain and the Kharkiv Media Hub decided to have me appear to make some statements regarding my future with the armed forces of Ukraine. So, Captain, thank you very much for allowing me to come here today.
Pleasure is totally mine.
The captain was one of the key proponents of enlisting me in the armed forces of Ukraine.
Let's call it so.
Do you regret the decision?
Not yet. Looking forward.
So, speaking of looking forward, my injuries showed me just what we're facing when it comes to frontline combat. I was at the point of contact. We were attacked. But as I told my followers on Twitter, and as I'll tell the entire YouTube audience, we were able to inflict significant damage upon the Russian invaders, as would be expected. Okay, so Captain Bojko, now that we know you're
I have to say something, right?
Yes.
You need to stop, because you saw me on every screen around. So, Sara is so special guest, I can't even describe the huge importance of her being here as a media person, as a person who cares about fellow soldiers, brothers and sisters in arms, and the most important thing, the person who looks forward to understand what's going on, try to look over the horizon. Where is it going? Trying to help us to figure out, I may say globally, right? So
I think that's fair. You allowed me to go to Washington, D.C., where we addressed some of the issues that were being faced, and ultimately, you've also been a big proponent of my social media interactions around the globe. And we understand that without the support of people throughout the globe, around the world, what do you always tell me? Being Ukrainian is a state of mind.
Exactly.
It's not a geographic location.
It's a choice. It's a political choice. So it's not only about ethnical choice. So it's like you choose freedom, democracy, right? Liberty, and after that you follow it.
That's not to say that we're going to avoid fully liberating the people of Ukraine. We're going back to the 1991 borders, and I look forward myself to stepping into Crimea, despite whatever news reports may have come out of there today. We know that Crimea is Ukraine.
True.
True. Luhansk is Ukraine. All of the Donbass is Ukraine. Bakhmut is Ukraine. When I was standing just a couple of hundred meters away from the Russians, for all of their talk, they're incapable of doing anything but trying to sow confusion. They're a pretend army led by a midget who sees death coming. Whether the death comes from inside of Russia or the death comes at the hands of the ZSU will be determined. But ultimately, Putin is a dead man walking, and Ukraine is a land that's about to be liberated.
Thank you very much for those kind words. And this important can't be underestimated. And what you said touched me. And right now you have all right to say it because you've been with us on the front line, exactly in the trench. You were wounded with us. So after the month in the trench, what can you tell to the world? Like, what's going on? You've seen it by yourself. What's going on there?
It was an experience that, and this is one of the things I wanted to address. People said, how did you end up on the front line? I didn't know that I was being sent to the trenches. When my transfer was put into the new unit that I'm serving with currently, it was a surprise. I was told to be prepared to go to the position. I didn't know the position was the trenches. When you got there, you understood what had to happen. It was either live or die. And we have inflicted such significant casualties on the enemy. Has been the single greatest privilege of my life. The greatest honor was when ZSU trusted me to serve at Zero Line. I learned what mortality was. And because of this situation, I have a greater respect for all of our eternal heroes. The only people who can be called heroes in ZSU are those who are no longer walking among us in this world, but in fact are looking down upon us, guiding us every step of the way to victory. No one else needs to be called a hero because we're doing this simply to live as free people and to make certain that the chains of slavery are not lashed around our wrists and our ankles. And that's why I wanted to look into this camera and to tell you, Captain, that I signed a 3-year contract to serve ZSU, to serve the Ukrainian people. And although the injury would give me the right to leave the military, I am not only not leaving, but I'm counting down the days to rejoin my unit and to continue fighting until that 3 years are up, because ultimately liberation is going to happen before the 3 years. But we need to make sure this victory comes through a transformative defeat of the totalitarian fascist Russian Federation, one that will render impotent and useless the Russian Federation, state sponsors of terrorists, under Vladimir Putin. Whether it's Putin, Prigozhin, whoever it may be, a liberal activist in Russia, or the strongest nationalist, none of them are going to be able to render threats to Ukraine, to the Baltics, to the Caucasus, or to anywhere else across the world once we have finished with them. That's why I signed that 3-year contract, to be able to stand next to soldiers such as yourself, officers such as yourself, but more importantly, the regular people of Ukraine who said, we wanted freedom in 2004, we wanted freedom in 2014, and we were going to guarantee freedom for ourselves and the world in 2022 and 2023.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It's so noble.
It's the only right thing to do. And when I was a member of the press here at Kharkiv Media Hub, when I was working for the territorial district of Zolochiv, when you and I were going around the recently liberated areas in Kharkiv, every single issue that we faced was just another piece of the puzzle that was going to lead to freedom for the Ukrainian people. Words like noble, words such as hero, they can be tossed around. But only the word of liberty and the words of freedom and liberation are the ones we need to know, because those are the drivers.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we had to cut here.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me, Captain.